It was late September 2015 when Thrustmaster announced a limited edition of their TX lineup, the TX Racing Wheel Leather Edition. It was a variant for sure, but not limited. Even though it is listed as an advanced level product on the website, one might think that it would fall short by today's standards. Or would it? Depending on the regional pricing and the hidden costs such as shipping and import taxes, direct drive bases can be an expensive investment. But do you really need a direct drive base to have a good time? Let's start with this base. This is a 3.9 Nm belt-driven wheelbase with a maximum of 900 degrees of rotation, which should suffice the majority of people, unless you are someone who plays truck sims on 1800 degrees. This is the exact same base as T300, except this is compatible with Xbox and PC, meanwhile the T300 is compatible with PlayStation and PC. This included steering wheel is 11 inches in diameter, and the feel of the button is somewhere between mushy and tactile. They feel nice and have good amount of travel. The paddle shifters are non-magnetic and a bit spongy, but you can get a magnetic shifter mod online for under $20. The wheel is comfortable to hold on to, and the leather and the stitch held up surprisingly well. All in all, it is a very well built steering wheel for this price range. Next up we have T3PA pedals which have potentiometers. And let me just put it out there that I hate these pedals. It has nothing to do with the appearance or the build. It's just that the resistance in the brake pedal is awful. You all know that a car is driven with the feet and not the steering. And that is the exact reason why I switched to TLCMs almost immediately. In case you are wondering why it doesn't come with TLCMs instead, it's because they were released on 2020 while the bundle came out in 2015. It also comes with this conical rubber brake mod, which goes behind the brake pedal to provide a bit of resistance when trying to reach the end, but it's not too effective to be honest. My only issue with this bundle is the pedal. If you are planning on purchasing this, I would highly suggest opting for larger Sparco R383 rim and the TLCM pedals. In my opinion, the TLCMs are the first thing to go for as load cell pedals are really a game changer. But enough about all of this. Let's take a look inside. So this is what we are working with. And the first thing that you would notice is that the motor is not directly connected to the shaft, but instead through two belts. The force feedback starts from the motor and moves out through this little gear, which is connected to a bigger one through this belt. Then there is another tiny gear which is connected to a bigger gear through another belt, which then drives the shaft, thus completing the path. It is a dual belt system and Thrustmaster claims that it has zero lag. I don't have any proof to support my statement, but I felt a tiny bit of latency when compared to a direct drive base. Let me tell you why. So what happens in a traditional direct drive wheelbase is that the shaft is connected directly to the motor. So no details are lost when the force feedback is being delivered. In here the mechanism is a bit different, hence the perceptible delay. But that's an obvious one, so we'll let that slide. Next up is this fan, which is quite small. Some users have reported their units overheating, including myself, while the majority have had no issues. Thankfully, there are two ways to tackle this. First one would be to switch the cooling mode from automatic to forced by pressing and holding mode button and button 8. The base will blink twice for force mode and only once for auto mode. Second way would be to simply change the fan and go for a Noctua. And that's pretty much it. There's very little that could go wrong here. The design is great and the belt can be replaced if worn or snapped. Now let's talk about the force feedback because that's what's most important. Unlike the cock-driven mechanism of its rival Logitech G29, it boasts a higher peak torque of 3.9 compared to G29's 2.1. I play mostly rally titles, so let's start there. And to be honest, it performed surprisingly well. Habituated of a direct drive wheelbase, I was fully prepared to be left unsatisfied because, well, belt-driven base. But instead found my presumptions to be false. I had loads of fun chucking the car around the corners and laughing like a toddler who finds his own farts hilarious. Circuit racing on the other hand was a bit different. Again, because I was coming from a direct drive base, I was expecting some bare bones stuff. But like I said before, my presumptions were incorrect. The curb details and the feeling of the car moving around was something which was there, but not in the way I wanted it to be. I'm not addressing a shortcoming in any manner. It's just that I'm used to direct drive bases and got habituated to the lateral forces. In rest of the games, it worked as well as it could, be it SnowRunner, Forza Horizon or Need for Speed. And that right there would be its biggest advantage over any direct drive base, the support for arcade games, but not for long, as they are starting to catch up. But that's not really a concerning factor. What could be a concerning factor is the maintenance and reliability. And so far I have racked over 800 hours and there hasn't been any major signs of wear and tear. There hasn't been any funny noises, belt slippage or random reboots. I thought that maybe the leather would start to peel off, but that did not happen either. It has been very good and would continue to be so for years to come. But there's a bigger question here. Is it still a good choice in 2024? Given that Camus C5 and Moza R5 can be bought for less than what this bundle costs? I would say it depends on a couple of factors. Firstly, there is the regional pricing. And secondly, it has been tried and tested. Like I mentioned earlier, I have racked over 800 hours in this and it still works like day one. The whole purpose of this video was to go back to a rudimentary setup and see the differences from the other end. And after testing it, I realized that direct drive bases are superior, but this isn't too bad either. I would recommend this setup only if it is priced lower than Moza R5 and Camus C5. That's been it. I've been Darth Snape and may the downforce be with you.